Across the globe, 1 billion young people will start work during the next decade. Only 40% of them will start in jobs that actually exist today. The other 60% will start in jobs not yet created. The global economy is a serious construction site. Disruption is impacting every sector. Europe finds itself unwillingly at the heart of a new industrial revolution. Few perceive the pace of change that is coming, the age of automation and artificial intelligence, change that will challenge Europe's employment models and welfare systems, putting at risk the tender fabric of our Western society. We are at a crossroads, a moment of opportunity. Rebalance its economies, making them fit for the future industries, or Europe will pay the price of populism as inequality grows and democracy fails.
We realize very well that with all the changes that are going on, faster and faster, that there is a part of society that is afraid of not being able to follow. They are afraid of being the losers already now or in the future, or that their children would be among the losers. We have to show results. We have to make clear to all the citizens in Europe that Europe is there for them.
I think that we need a more democratic and a more social European Union. If the people should trust European institutions, they need to feel that the European Union brings a value, an additional value for them, and that means more social security. And that's why we are working for a social pillar for a long time.
European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, in his 2015 State of the Union address, said he wanted to develop a European pillar of social rights, taking account of the changing realities of the world of work. Juncker said the social pillar should become a compass for renewed convergence within the euro area. 1 year later, the State of the Union was weaker, and Juncker reset the social pillar as a priority, as a means to manage what he called the unsolved problems of unemployment and social inequality.
It's clear that we have, among the 19 countries that are today in the euro area, extremely different social models, extremely different ways of setting wages, for instance. And I personally believe that they're not compatible with one another. Remember that countries that went into the euro, they gave up the exchange rate. They gave up a very important tool of adjusting in the case of shocks. If you have labor markets that are operating very, very differently, it's really messy.
We need to organize employment and social policies primarily on the national level and to strengthen coordination at European level of those policies in order to attain better outcomes in terms of competitiveness. Because if there are social problems in Europe, they are not due to a lack of social legislation, they are due to a lack of competitiveness of business in comparison to other world regions.
The posting of workers is an important part because it is more than symbolic. It's about equal pay for equal work. And I think if we want to reduce inequality, well, this is one element we can use, because what we want with the Posting of Workers Directive, with the amendment we propose, is just this equality.
What kind of welfare system does Europe need?
I'm very impressed by the way things work in the Scandinavian countries. Differently in Denmark than in Sweden than in Finland than in Norway. But there is something there around this idea of flexi-security. They are not preventing the flexibility to take place. In some of our countries here, in Belgium, in France, in other countries, flexibility is used as sort of as a dirty word. No, I think flexibility is important in this changing world, but it has to come hand in hand with security.
Do you see that the social pillar, by providing a safety net, a fallback for people, that it will encourage greater risk-taking, greater entrepreneurship, and therefore stimulate the economy further?
I'm convinced of that. It belongs together. Of course, we need to stimulate entrepreneurship at all means, but also social policy can help there and can help people make a transit from one activity to another one. And what we see more and more and what we expect in the future is that there are more transitions in people's life.
Marianne Thyssen has been consulting with EU authorities, social partners, civil society and citizens on the content and role of the pillar as Europe moves towards what she calls a deeper and fairer economic and monetary union. Where do you see the biggest obstacles to getting the social pillar and social justice in Europe?
Of course, everybody has his own history, and this is typical for Europe. We are not harmonizing social security. We don't have the competence in Europe. So we have, there where we have legal competence, we can try to make legislation. And then we have to convince each other of the added value of what we do at European level.
Where do you think the big fight lines, the big division lines are going to be when it comes to getting the social pillar through Parliament?
I think the main obstacle will be the Council, the Member States. I think that inside the Commission you will find some people, partners also for the European Parliament and for the members of the Parliament saying we have to do more and we need more social Europe, social pillar. But then you have on the other side these heads of Member States saying we don't know, and if we give some of our rights to the European level, that means our nationalists will get more voices when we have the next election on the national level.
I think with all the tools we have, with good communication, a lot of dialogue, yes, we can progress further. It's not always easy. Sometimes there are differences, but we have to continue to talk because it's in the interest of everybody in the end.
The consultations are expected to continue until December this year, with the first draft being proposed early next year. It is very much a work under construction.
Seeing the draft by the rapporteur for social pillars here in the Parliament, I see we have a good ground, we have a good base for a common discussion, and I hope we will get a great majority here in the Parliament and to make pressure on the Commission, but also on the Council.
Many citizens now, they feel they are losing, in fact, control of their lives, and we need to have Europe also complementing the national policies to respond to all the challenges which are there. So we need to use European scale of the single market and of the Eurozone. But we also need to have a Eurozone working properly for convergence, which is not the case yet.
Benchmarking is very important because this is a way where you can strengthen the coordination approach at European level to have a common compass, a compass that could be of benefits for the policymakers nationally, to the social partners as well, to have an idea of a common sense of direction at European level towards the similar outcomes, competitiveness, growth, employment. Are we going to achieve this? We could have benchmarks in a series of key labour market issues and challenges that we are all facing and try to make progress in accordance with a common roadmap.
Do you see a need for a more harmonized approach to social justice and social welfare across Europe?
When we have common labor market, common market of goods and services, and common capital market, we also need to harmonize other things. If we have common capital market, we also need common taxes on the capital. So, of course, there is need to harmonization of all the regulations. I hope it will go in the social direction, that every employee will have health insurance, that every employee will have a paid sick leave, and I hope it will not go the other unsocial direction.
Writing in his bestseller, The Industries of the Future, Alec Ross, Hillary Clinton's first State Department digital diplomat, said the next wave of industrial change will challenge middle classes across the globe, threatening to return many to poverty. The next wave will take frontier economies and bring them into the economic mainstream while challenging the middle classes in the most developed countries. Ross sees the shadows of past economic success as no guarantee of future prosperity.
After World War II was a huge social progress, and not just social progress, it was economic progress as well. We created really the conditions for growth and equity, and we had that for a period. I think the difficulty today is to try to want to hold to that old social model that served us well, but in a period which is now over because of the rapidity of the changes, because of globalization, again because of these very, very rapid technological changes.
When you look at how quickly the labour market is changing, automation, use of robots, artificial intelligence, that government has a real grip on the pace of change that's needed?
I think it's beginning to get a grip of the pace of change. The realisation that traditional industries, certainly in Scotland, we've suffered the demise of the heavy industrial engineering businesses and coal mining and steelworks. And they're realising that we've now got to put in a lot more emphasis around developing new opportunities, new economic growth opportunities for Scotland and its people. And on the flip side of that comes the necessary skills requirements for those.
We need to always have a positive approach on the opportunities. Digital revolution is destroying many jobs, but it's creating many other jobs, and we need to prepare people for this.
When you look at the problems that Europe is facing with populism at the moment, and like we mentioned earlier, this disengagement and people blaming globalization, do you have confidence that the European Commission, that European member states can say to their people, this social pillar, this social justice approach that we're taking today, it will protect you, that we can challenge globalization and win? Or do you think this is going to be, as social policies been in the past, something which fails?
It's not allowed to fail. So the reason why our president started with this commission, the missions he gave us to all commissioners is under the title Jobs, Growth and Fairness. And this is what we are going for. But we have to do it in a smart way.
If Europe fails to rebalance its employment and social models, it risks deep internal fractures and fierce external challenges. The social pillar is not just about fairness or social justice, it's about the fundamental capacity of Europe to remain a global player.